Imagine walking past a closed door and hearing someone inside locked in a heated debate. They're pitching an idea, defending a strategy, and calling out mistakes. But when you peek inside, the room is completely empty. There's just one person, pacing the floor, talking to the walls. What is your first immediate thought? For centuries, society has slapped a heavy stigma on this habit. We're taught that speaking when no one is listening is the first warning sign of mental instability, extreme loneliness, or an eccentric mind losing touch with reality. We do it in secret, and the moment we get caught, our face turns red and we quickly mutter, "Sorry, I'm just going crazy." But what if the world has it completely backward? Recent breakthroughs in cognitive neuroscience and behavioral psychology have exposed a fascinating truth. Talking to yourself is not a system failure. It is an advanced cognitive processing method. The individuals who naturally externalize their inner dialogue aren't struggling to blend into society. They are unconsciously operating with a rare set of psychological tools that the average autopilot mind never develops. Today, we are peeling back the layers of this misunderstood habit. We're going past the surface jokes to reveal the 7 rare psychological traits found in people who think out loud, and how this one weird behavior might actually be the clearest sign of an optimized mind. To understand why this habit is so rare, we have to look at how the human brain evolved to handle information. Most people treat their mind like a single processor. They think a thought and they act on it. But people who talk to themselves have unlocked what neuroscientists call dual core processing. This dates back to a foundational discovery by developmental psychologist Lev Vygotsky. He noticed that young children don't just talk to communicate, they talk out loud to guide their own hands while solving puzzles or learning to walk. As we grow up, society forces us to internalize this voice, turning it into a silent inner monologue. But the self-talker's brain refuses to completely bury this tool. When a task gets highly complex, their instinct is to externalize that voice again. By doing this, they create a secondary processing unit. One part of their brain is doing the work, while the spoken voice acts as an external supervisor, shouting instructions, tracking progress, and correcting form in real time. While the average person gets overwhelmed trying to hold 5 different thoughts in their head at once, the self-talker uses their voice to clear the RAM of their mind, allowing them to handle high-stress situations without freezing. Have you ever sat staring at a blank screen or a complex problem, feeling like you know the answer but you just can't grasp it? It's because internal thoughts are inherently liquid. They are fleeting, shapeless, and change form every half second. People who think out loud possess a rare trait known as structural crystallization. When you force a thought out of your head and through your vocal cords, you are forcing it to undergo a massive transformation. Liquid, chaotic thoughts are forced to become solid sentences. You cannot speak 3 conflicting thoughts at the exact same millisecond, but your brain can try to think them simultaneously. Psychologists refer to this as the articulation benefit. By speaking, you run a real-time diagnostic test on your own logic. The moment a weak idea, an excuse, or a flawed plan hits the physical air, your ears hear it back, and your brain instantly flags it. Wait, that sounds ridiculous. This makes self-talkers exceptionally sharp debaters and planners. They have already stressed, tested, and edited their arguments out loud long before anyone else ever hears them. We are currently living in an era where human attention is a commodity, constantly being hijacked by notifications, algorithms, and cognitive fatigue. In this chaotic environment, high focus is one of the rarest traits on earth. Yet, the self-talker has a built-in biological shield against distraction. In a landmark study published by cognitive psychologists Gary Lupian and Daniel Swingley, participants were tracked while searching for everyday objects. The researchers discovered that simply uttering the name of the target object out loud significantly accelerated the brain's search mechanics. This happens because of a neurological mechanism called sensory gating. When you say a word out loud, like keys, report, or next, step, your auditory cortex fires up and sends a powerful feedback loop to your visual cortex. It essentially tells your brain, ignore everything else, look only for the visual match of this specific spoken sound. People who talk to themselves through their workflow aren't just trying to stay awake. They are manually overriding their brain's natural tendency to drift, locking their focus onto a single objective with mechanical precision. When life gets intense, most people drown in their own first-person experience. They think, I am ruined. I can't handle this. I am so stressed. This I-centric language locks the brain into a state of emotional panic, activating the amygdala and shutting down executive function. But people who talk to themselves have developed an unfair psychological advantage: intellectual decoupling. Dr. Ethan Kross, a leading researcher on the inner voice at the University of Michigan, has spent years studying the power of third-person self-talk. He found that when individuals speak to themselves using their own name or the pronoun you, something extraordinary happens in the brain. By changing a single word out loud, you instantly shift your psychological distance. You cease to be the victim of the emotion, and you instantly become the therapist, the coach, or the mentor dealing with the situation. This linguistic shift lowers biological stress markers, stabilizes heart rates, and restores logical thinking faster than almost any meditative technique. Self-talkers don't suppress their emotions. They actively talk themselves down from the ledge of panic using calculated language. In today's interconnected world, modern society suffers from a massive crisis of validation addiction. The moment someone faces a minor life dilemma, their immediate instinct is outward. They text a friend group, post an anonymous poll, or scroll social media to see what the crowd thinks. The habitual self-talker, however, exhibits a rare rebellious trait: inward-anchored autonomy. Because these individuals have spent years talking through their choices out loud, they have built an incredibly strong familiar relationship with their own reasoning. They know exactly how they arrived at a conclusion because they literally heard the debate happen in real time. This creates a high level of self-trust. They don't need other people's permission to feel secure in a decision, nor do they conform easily to groupthink or peer pressure. Their moral compass and intellectual boundaries aren't dictated by the loudest voice in the room. They are forged in the quiet conversations they hold with themselves every single day. Most people process information through only one channel at a time, but talking out loud while working activates multiple systems in the brain simultaneously. As you speak, you engage your motor cortex to move your vocal cords, your auditory system to hear your own voice, and the language centers of your brain to create and interpret meaning. This multisensory engagement strengthens memory, improves understanding, and helps information stick far more effectively than silent thinking alone. That's one reason why experienced surgeons, military pilots, and chess grandmasters often whisper instructions to themselves during complex tasks. They aren't confused. They're reinforcing their thinking through multiple neural pathways at once. The final, and perhaps the rarest trait of all, is the complete rejection of stagnation. Most people live on autopilot, repeating the same habits, making the same mistakes, and wondering why nothing changes. The self-talker is different. They are constantly reviewing, questioning, and recalibrating their own behavior. After a difficult day, they don't simply feel regret. They ask themselves, what went wrong? Why did I react that way? What should I do differently next time? That simple habit transforms passive living into intentional growth. Instead of waiting for life to force change upon them, they make small adjustments every single day, one honest conversation with themselves at a time. So, the next time you catch yourself whispering a plan, rehearsing a conversation, or talking through a difficult decision, don't feel embarrassed. The voice echoing in an empty room isn't necessarily a sign that something is broken. Sometimes it is the sound of a deeply reflective mind, organizing its thoughts, sharpening its focus, and preparing itself to grow. If you enjoyed this video and discovered a completely new perspective on a habit most people misunderstand, subscribe for more psychology videos that reveal the hidden patterns behind human behavior. Now tell me honestly in the comments, what is the most random thing you've ever caught yourself saying out loud when you thought nobody was listening? And which of these 7 traits described you the best?